guys, I'm Chally, and this is ICU Academy. So, welcome. If you're new here, this is just a safe space where we can talk about God's love and we can share about spirituality and the ascension journey and our path and masculine and feminine energy and just all of it. Just supernatural but loving and safe space. So I want to set that intention for us so that we can all have conversations with that in mind. So thank you for joining. Let's get into it. So my latest revelation, this was last night, and you guys know, if you've been on this journey for a while, you know how God will just show you the same thing over and over and over for years, right? You'll see it, you know it, and then suddenly it is brand new. Like you are in alignment with this new vibration of this information, and it is so exciting. It's so palpable and it's so refreshing, right? And it always is like this breath of fresh air for your journey and such a big boost of encouragement. And if you haven't felt that, I am sure you will. But either way, this one was a big one for me in a lot of ways, just because it was so nuanced and just tying all these things together. Because at the end of it all, I realized I was focusing a lot on my roots. Like there was some energy around just old habits that I had cleansed over the past maybe month or so. And just yesterday, I realized I was like still kind of thinking about your roots, the things that go down, the things that get buried, the things that grow deep. And what it takes is us, putting ourselves in the ground and being made new and like sprouting in this resurrection style of rebirth, right? And similar to an ego death. And even still, it's still constant, right? We're still constantly making sure that the roots that are going deep into the ground are the ones that are going to lead to our foundation in this life of fullness, right? So we can sprout as these beautiful trees that are constantly satiated by the rivers that it's planted near. So it's kind of that. And I just was like, why am I so focused on the roots? Like, I'm good, right? Like, sure, we've all come from places where like we were hurt and we're healing and we're doing this and doing that. You know what I mean? But at this point, it's like, we did it. We did the work. My cat is starting to climb on me. We did it. We did the work. And we're not walking around like hurt anymore, But there was this energy around it. So I just thought it was so strange because God was like, well, you're focusing on those roots. Like, you've come out of those. I get when you need to pull a weed and sometimes you need to look at it and, sometimes there's some energy that's asking you to draw your attention to it to just, just some fine tuning on your gardening, right? But it's not meant for us to stay there. And now we're looking from the canopy, right? Like we're reaching the top and we're continuing to grow and looking from the top of this situation. And new heights, brand new heights. And it just feels so good to be in that place. But because it's easier, right? There's so much light. It's so easy to grow. You don't actually have to weed anything. You do prune and you get pruned and all that. But essentially, you understand the visual of just like easy access, right? There's no soil to grow through to sprout and become so that you can start to grow. Like you've already done it. Here you are blossoming, right? You're moving forward. You're accelerating in your growth. And it's easy. It's easy, baby. And I love that. So anyway, God was just like putting all of this together and tied in the ascension symptoms of just this twinkling of an eye. So in 1 Corinthians 15, 52, God talks about how in the twinkling of an eye, the last trumpet, like will all be changed. And I was like, well, what's the twinkling of an eye? And God's like, and I was like, oh, you're right. Like, it's just like this moment. It's just a flash, like it says. Or if you think about a glimmer of light going by, there's this point where you can't see anything. Or if you think about going to sleep at night, right? You go to sleep and you open your eyes. It feels like the twinkling of an eye when you go to bed and wake up. If you have like a really full night's sleep, unless you have dreams and stuff like I do, it's not always like a twinkling. It can be hours. You're like, oh, I was in that dream for a while. But anyway, essentially, right? The dream, the dream state, and just going to sleep and waking up, a flash, a twinkling of an eye. We're changed, we're made new. And those ascension symptoms that I'm sure we've all felt, you know, where you go to sleep and you wake up and you have this like dozy feeling, this dozy feeling, and you're like, whoa, like what just happened? And you're like, oh, there was some work done in the spiritual realm, in the heavenly realms while I was asleep. Like we integrated some stuff. God was putting some pieces together. Like we are new today. And you just handle things in a new way. When stuff starts to settle, all this work that we've been doing, like it settles, and you are actually in this new timeline where you can access life from this new vibration. And that's what God was talking about. Like in I'm looking at my note because I journaled about it, obviously. Shout out to my journalers. But the heavenly splendor of just like, there are heavenly bodies and there are earthly bodies, and we were born the image of the earthly man, and we will also bear the image of the heavenly man. And that image for me is starting to shine through. Like I can feel my heavenly body bearing itself, okay? And it feels amazing. It obviously feels great. It's totally connected to love. I'm not saying I don't have my moments or anything like that, but I'm talking about the vibrational highlight of this, right? And not the sequence of events necessarily. Like we're just talking vibes here. And it just feels so great to feel that this heavenly body is shining through. And that's what's supposed to happen, right? It's already there. It's already been told that like that's what's going on here. We're heading towards this. So it's exciting, and hopefully it's encouraging for you to just know that like all of this is still heading towards something. It's still happening. We're still going. Like sometimes it can feel really late and long. And especially when you're in a resurrection season like I was, most recently, my past year. So every year I do this with myself and my friends. I ask them what their word of the year is. And I ask myself, and God usually gives me a word. So I just receive whatever word they say. And I'm like, okay, let's see, buckle up, like put on my riding glasses, like rodeo, you know what I mean? So, this year was wild, and I was a little hesitant, a little nervous, because last year was pretty wild in a different way. Just it felt like a lot of moving pieces. And this year was wild, but they were like, well, a resurrection is wild. And I was like, oh, you're right. I was like, a resurrection is wild, right? Like this little child, right? I was like so surprised. I was like, okay, I'm into this. And it's exactly what's been happening. It's always so in tune. And and I'm coming to the tail end of that. So my new word is coming, and I just think it's so timely that God is tying this up in this beautiful little bow and leading me to this 1 Corinthians 15 chapter about resurrection bodies, which is so cool. I'm just talking about how I am accessing my heavenly body, and I'm sure you are too if you're connected with this message at all, if you've felt anything like this. And you'll feel it with your heart, obviously. You guys know resonance, so you'll know if this is where you're at. And I'm just encouraging you to keep going, keep growing, keep stepping into your gifts. It's not going to be, you know, you got to do this, you got to do that, like in training mode, like, okay, train this, do this. Like now we've got the skills, and now we're utilizing them, and we're putting them out there, and we're doing the things that our hearts are called to do, the things that have been instilled in us, and we're walking it out with purpose, and we're putting our efforts into it because it feels good and it feels right. So trust yourself on this journey. Keep trusting yourself. I love you so much, and just thank you for tuning in and sharing the space with me, and I hope we stay connected. So like, comment, subscribe if you're enjoying this video, and hopefully I'll have more for you soon. Bye.